Welcome to Mr. Brown's Basement, a channel devoted to sharing the craft of repairing, restoring, and modifying vintage electronic gear, and other random stuff. About a year ago, I picked up this Philco 461201 radio with phonograph in Scarborough, Canada. I've been working on it on and off, and it's called for a lot of work. The radio chassis was a mess, and so was the automatic record player below. The cabinet was no different, showing signs of water damage, negligence, neglect, and deterioration due to age. Many things I had to do are typical of any vintage radio and record player restoration project. Here's a summary of what has been done so far and covered in 4 videos. This video will be about repairing the cabinet. It is never my goal to make a vintage radio look new. Rather, it is my goal to make a vintage radio look like a beautiful vintage radio, even if that means leaving some of the scars and battle wounds of the past as proof that the radio was used and enjoyed by previous owners. Before starting on the cabinet, the record player must be separated, and the radio chassis and speaker must be removed from the cabinet. The speaker mount, which also includes the speaker cloth, needs to be removed with the dozen or so screws around its periphery. The dial's held in with these 4 small Phillips screws and 2 metal straps.
Wow. Seen better days. All right. Here's the original dial. And let's compare it to the reproduction dial that I ordered. Now, isn't that beautiful? That the wood has come apart. This is probably from moisture. I will reglue that. It feels like, yes, there's a piece there. There's the piece that's missing. The speaker Grille cloth. It'll come off probably just by pulling. Yeah. Not much resistance. And the new cloth, still in the bag, looks like this, which isn't exactly the same stuff, but I think it'll be just fantastic. My first idea was to cover this veneer with plastic veneer, but I realized that I won't be able to do a nice cut around here, at least not as nice as this cut. So I have decided not to do that. Instead, I'm going to use stain, which is going to be taken up a lot by where the veneer has disappeared, and it will blend in, and it will probably be less offensive than a crappy job of plastic veneer over here. By the way, this is paper. This is a paper veneer. This area here, which is painted, is going to get repainted, but not until after I repair this issue over here. First, let's apply some stain, see how it makes this disappear. It will be applied with a rag. I'm using Minwax pecan flavored stain, and we'll see how it looks. This wood here is a mess. It's come apart. I'm going to use a knife and trim this so it's straight. That way I can stick a small rectangular piece in there, glue this down, and then paint this color, or actually this color. I may need to put in wood fill if it isn't a perfect cut, but we'll see. A little bit of this, a little bit of that, and probably 45 minutes, and then I can see what size and shape of wood I'm going to need to fill in that gap over there. With this, I'll use my magic marker and generously apply ink or whatever it is to the wound. And then use a paper towel to take off the excess. It doesn't make it perfect, but from far away, you won't be able to tell. Remember, I'm not trying to make this look like a new radio. I don't want a new radio. If I want a new radio, I'll go to Walmart. I want to make this look like an old radio. The piece of pine I cut fits, but it's too thick. So I found a piece of oak, and maybe I can get it to fit, and it's just the tiniest bit thinner too. The rest will be paintable wood filler and paint, and then when the dial is put in, you won't even see it. Repair to the dial face opening is almost finished now. The next step is to prime this and this before it's actually painted. I've already recorded where the decals will go. Next step is to start masking. I use frog tape because it has better masking properties than just regular masking tape. Before I repaint it, I want to make sure I get the color right. So I've brought it out under daylight and mixed up a few colors to see what seems to go best. I'm leaning towards this one, which is Colonel Brown's Secret Recipe of Herbs and Spices. That would be 9 parts red and 4 parts black. That's a big secret. Don't tell anyone. Yeah, I think that's going to be close. The primer has been applied. It's almost dry. And then I apply Mr. Brown's Secret Paint Recipe. When the first coat dried, it looked too purple. I did the second coat in a different color, and I think it looks better. The second and final coat of paint is done. Now that leaves the decal and polyurethane over the painted and veneered sections. To my surprise and disappointment, the frog tape masking tape lifted some of the Philco veneer. So before going any further, I applied some polyurethane after touching up what I could. Here's my advice for applying water decals. They're expensive, they can be tricky to put on, but they're worth it. The water decals have been applied, and now it's just a matter of allowing them to fully cure before covering them with a top coat or 2 or 3. I've used 3M adhesive spray to attach Grille cloth, but I've also used Mod Podge. I'm going to use Mod Podge because with 3M spray, the nozzle often gets gummed up with adhesive, ending up wasting most of the can. First thing I do is apply a layer and let it dry so it makes this material not porous. And then I can apply a second layer. When it gets tacky, then I attach the Grille cloth. You must iron the cloth first, otherwise you'll end up with wrinkles or pockets. Make sure the wooden speaker grill has no staples or nails sticking out of it. Coat it evenly with adhesive. If there's too much adhesive, it may stain the cloth. If there's too little, or if it's dried, the cloth won't stick. The original dial had a couple of these rubber bands, I think they're rubber, and they were around the ends, just where the clamps held it on. I'm not going to put in rubber. Instead, I'm going to use some heat shrink, and that will give it the little bit of padding that it needs, I guess, for thermal expansion or maybe rough handling. Just because I'm really anxious to see how it looks, I put the dial in and the speaker in with its new speaker cloth. No, it's not exactly the same as the original. It's nicer. Now, while I was doing the lacquering of the water decals, the P in Philco dissolved. That shouldn't have happened, but it happened. My choices are trying to touch it up with a gold pen or putting down another water decal. Either way, I'm not happy about it. I ended up putting on another water decal, but just the letter P. As beautiful a job it is, I just noticed that my decals are reversed. Yeah, measure twice, cut once. Okay,
They're correct now. Here's a look at the radio. One last look before it's put back together. These blue marrettes are used to connect the chassis to the coil antenna. Previously, it looked like they were hardwired, which wasn't a good idea if you ever wanted to service the chassis. Before putting it together, you have to make sure that if there are any long wires, like for example this one or this one in here, that they're tucked away and won't interfere with the tone arm. I still don't have a cartridge for it. I hope you enjoyed this video from Mr. Brown's basement. It looks a lot better and it works. You wouldn't recognize it from the way it was before. Take a look for yourself and see what I mean. The only thing that really needs to be done is replacing the phono cartridge, which is inside there. There were a number of very helpful suggestions made in the comments section after one of the last videos, and it's just a matter of ordering the cartridge and installing it now. I hope you enjoyed this video from Mr. Brown's basement. Please like and subscribe to be notified as more videos are published. And please don't forget to comment and send your shout outs to good old Colonel Sanders.